Good afternoon, folks. I'm Dave Thompson, the Director of the Academy of Cleaning Excellence. There's 3 words in which I focus on each and every Friday afternoon: healthy, positive, and proactive. Now, this show is called Beyond Clean for a reason. And today I have in the studio with me Christine Iverson. She's with Crow Practice. She's here to talk to us about wellness in the workplace, how positive stress-reducing techniques can really add up to cost savings. Now, I know that's not what we think about in the cleaning industry. So, before we get into all of that, welcome Christine to the show.
Thank you so much, Dave, for having me.
You've got a lot to kind of come up to here because the folks are going stress relief, cleaning business.
We're going beyond clean.
Yeah,
right?
we'll show you how far beyond clean we're going to go in just a minute. Okay, so Christine, how did all this get started?
So Crow Practice was started by myself, a professional stress eliminator, and our team, which together we have thousands of hours of certifications in stress elimination and various yoga certifications. However, for myself, when I look at one of the most stressful times in my life, it was actually when I worked on cruise ships, when we worked 7 days a week for months at a time. And I truly had to learn for myself stress management tools and techniques. And this is really when the concept first started for me.
Okay, so I'm taking our certification cruise in February. If you haven't heard about it, I'll tell you about it later. But we're going to go on a cruise ship, and I guarantee it's going to be my first time hosting a certification on a cruise ship. I think it's going to be fun, but I'm going to feel some stress, but I don't think it's what you were talking about.
Well, still stress, all right? So I think for those behind the scenes, sometimes, generally the guests are having the relaxing experience. For those behind the scenes, it could be a completely different picture that the guests never see.
Right, and Christine and I met each other at Tip Club, which we have here at the Academy every month, every first Thursday of every month. And one of the things that we talked about is I said I have 3 words: healthy, positive, proactive. And you said you could speak to those. So,
absolutely.
How does stress relief fit in with our program?
Well, absolutely. Healthy, positive, proactive. Did you know that scientists are now agreeing that about 80 to 85% of illnesses, so this is physical illnesses in the body, mental illnesses, emotional illnesses, are related to stress?
Now, I was going to say my brain, but yeah, we'll get to that. And so, stress can come about in a number of different ways. So what you're talking about is if I'm if I have physical ailments, stress can help, or?
Well, a lot of times stress is impacting that. So for example, if you take an autoimmune disease like fibromyalgia or lupus, stress is going to impact these diseases. A lot of the times we're simply not aware the impact that stress is having on our physical bodies, on our mental, emotional states. There's a lot of research now that shows that workplace stress is increasing. And there's an awful lot of research and debate, especially in America right now, that healthcare costs are increasing. Right?
I don't think there's any debate on my budget. I can guarantee you healthcare costs at my age is consuming a lot of my budget. So there's no discussion on that.
Correct.
Not for me.
They are. Healthcare costs are rising. Stress is rising, and there's a linkage here. So actually in Europe, there's a lot more facts, studies, and statistics linking healthcare costs and rising stress costs.
So this isn't just U.S. based. Everybody around the world is understanding this.
Absolutely, absolutely. In Orange County, California, they have some good data and statistics that are showing that their number of employees are rising and their healthcare costs are decreasing. How?
Okay, so more employees, less stress. But
Yes.
now California, come on.
Well, it's because California has created a robust wellness program for employees. So they focused on prevention.
So are you saying that in the U.S., if I want to reduce stress, I go to California?
Well, not necessarily. That could be one avenue.
The audience could be drawing all kinds of analogies. I'm just going there before they did. Okay, but what we're talking about is building a wellness program wherever you are.
Correct. correct. The key is prevention. $1 spent in prevention equates to $3 saved on the back end with healthcare.
Now you're bringing that money into it. You said you would. Okay. All right. You know, I think that's the thing that we were talking about. Here at the Academy, we're always talking about protecting health.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I may be talking about how to protect health from reducing my exposure to toxic products.
Mm-hmm.
Is that part of a health and wellness program then?
Absolutely, there's definitely a direct correlation. Outside, you also had information on ergonomics.
Oh yeah.
So ergonomics right now focuses a lot on the equipment itself. We have a ergonomics and mindfulness program that is not only focusing on the equipment, but also your presence and state of mind. You could have the right piece of equipment, but not be using it correctively because your mind is somewhere else.
You've been listening to some of my classes and my programs, right?
Every week.
Oh, every week. Oh, hey, that's great. But you know, this is the truth, folks, is that, you know, we do talk about our economics. And one of the things that we talk about at the Academy is always education about why am I going to do what I'm doing so that I do it in a more appropriate way before I just change the tools.
Right.
And I guess that is what you said, presence of mind.
Absolutely.
I'm aware of what I'm doing before I do it so I don't impact my physical body, and now you're talking mental body.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the wrong way, okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know, you were talking about healthcare costs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will tell you, for me, there's no discussion, that's 60% of my budget. And I refer to this in a lot of different ways other than what you might be thinking. I consider my refrigerator and what I put in my refrigerator part of my healthcare costs.
Yeah, absolutely. What you're putting in your refrigerator, part of your healthcare costs, what we're putting in our bodies is truly, truly impacting us. So many times there's a disconnect between the food that we're ingesting and how we're physically feeling, our levels of energy. There's actually if anyone has Netflix, there is a Netflix show recently released called What the Health.
Okay, one more time, clearly for you folks.
What the Health. Joaquin Phoenix is one of the producers of the show. It's creating a lot of dialogue and questions. So if you have Netflix, What the Health, it's fascinating.
Disturbance and controversy always brings up conversation.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole reason that we're talking about it. It's what is my viewpoint on taking care of the environment is what I talk about a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it impacts my physical body, but we're talking also whatever is talking about my mental health
Mm-hmm.
is also affecting my body. And that's where you're talking about the stress relief. And I always say if it matters to my mind, I can control it. Am I wrong?
Oh, no, absolutely. What matters to our minds, we can control it. Something interesting, now we're definitely going a bit beyond clean here.
Hey, that's okay. I didn't tell everybody how far beyond clean we were going to go. So just get going for it.
So I find the neurological science of our brains to be fascinating, all right? So we all of our brains are pretty much made up the same structure, all right, neurologically. We all have the prefrontal cortex, which is right in the center.
Okay, prefrontal cortex. Now,
Yes.
beyond clean, we're getting you there.
Yes. So this region of our brain is our executive function, our logic, our reasoning. It is also the most susceptible to stress. So I'll give you a quick example. I have a girlfriend who was married for 20 years, divorced. She decides to try this online dating thing, right? And she is uncomfortable with the entire platform. She's comfortable throughout the whole process, but she meets someone, she goes on a date. She comes back and she says, you know what? I could not even tell you if I'm interested in this guy and if I want to see him again because I was so stressed out the whole time.
So she mentally shut down. The logic took over. She mentally shut down.
Correct.
And she probably didn't even know the guy's name afterwards.
Right, exactly. Her prefrontal cortex region of her brain, her logic, executive thinking, gone.
So this is whenever we shut down and we hear the very first part of the conversation, we get stressed out with that very first part, and the rest of the conversation we never hear. And if you're in business, this is disastrous.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Also within our neurological brain structure is the hippocampus region of the brain.
Hippocampus,
Yes,
folks.
yes.
Google that, not while you're on the show listening, but Google it later.
Right, so this region of our brain it's sets of stimuli. So it processes context of situations. So I'll give you an example.
Oh no, another example.
So let's say you have a fear of cats. And when you see a cat, you begin to panic, palms begin to sweat, you begin to hyperventilate. You have this memory from when you were young that you may not even remember exactly, but you know now today as an adult that you're afraid of cats and it physically affects you and your body.
So now the memory of something in the past, whether it's really consistent today or not, has taken over.
Absolutely, yep, that is the hippocampus region of your brain.
I like my hippocampus region. I didn't know this, folks.
So,
all right, so we're going way beyond clean. You're not stopping yet, are you?
No. So these various regions of the brain then affect the amygdala, all right? So
amygdala. Now you got 3 different things. It's not all clean.
Right, so the amygdala region of our brain is our fight or flight. It is what is going to fire off and set you into either that fight, flight, freeze, or possibly even submit mode.
Okay, I moved from Missouri, if you've watched the show, just recently. And I can guarantee you, one of these issues is the driving down here.
Yes.
And everybody believing they can do whatever they want to do. And, I'm hearing you and I'm thinking, this is where road rage comes in.
Exactly. All right, so road rage, okay? Our brains are still neurologically structured as they were thousands of years ago when cavemen would see a saber-toothed tiger. Amygdala gets fired and you go into fight or flight. 2017, we are not faced with the stress of a saber-toothed tiger. It is exactly,
I don't know, there's a few of them I probably would have rather seen that.
Yeah, it's now our stressors are traffic.
Well, traffic and I got this on my electronic device. I got
Yes.
this tweet or something, and I want to react.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where I've kind of learned step back from the situation as much as I can. And I guess that's what we're talking about here is I'm not addressing that flight or fight at that moment.
Right.
So what am I going to?
Well, you have the awareness. So your amygdala may get fired up and you can choose to go into fight or flight, but you're having that awareness of mind to bring a better choice into the situation.
Okay, so, all right, you got me all fired up here. Calm me down.
All right. Well, one of our best suggestions is to cultivate a meditation practice. So whether that is a formal practice with a group of individuals or an informal practice where you're practicing on your own, one of the leading experts in the meditation field is a gentleman by the name of John Kabat-Zinn. He has plenty of books out there. There are also a lot of great resources, free apps today, Insight Timer, Headspace. There's so many resources.
Now, folks, we talked about this before we got on the show. I don't use the app. I don't use formal meditation, but I grab my motorcycle and go for a 3-hour motorcycle ride. And she goes, well, but Dave, that's your meditation. I never really thought of it that way.
Yeah.
I'm one with the road and what's going on. I'm unwired from my phone and all the other things that are going on. When I get off the motorcycle, they all come back.
Yeah.
But so meditation can come in any kind of form, is what you're saying.
Correct. There are so many different types of forms. Taking a walk in nature, a lot of moving meditations, sometimes even journaling can be a great meditation.
Yeah, my wife did some of that journaling now that you mentioned it. Yeah. I know that some of the bigger organizations in our country today, I've heard that they'll have like a ping pong table, and whenever they take a break, they have ping pong. Now, is that meditation?
I'd say I put it along the lines of studies are definitely showing, and you mentioned a lot of the larger companies, that creativity, stress is the #1 killer to creativity. So the more breaks that we can take to kind of break from that thought pattern, break from that project, go play ping pong, go color, go draw, take a walk, do anything other than that project, you come back and you are more productive. And companies are realizing this.
Okay, so when the boss comes in and I got my coloring book and my crayons out, oh jeez, we were way beyond, yeah, okay. But I know that I do something that you said I shouldn't be doing.
So, well, one of our suggestions, let's say, for overall wellness is a better night's sleep. And what a lot of us in this day and age will do is be on our phones late at night, be watching TV and falling asleep. So what is happening, the blue lights is affecting your brain waves. So it's going to take you longer to get into that REM state of sleep, which is the real state of sleep that we want to get to have a full night's rest. So, our suggestion would be, stay away from those phones late at night, don't be on email.
Do you know why she's looking at me like this? Because we talked about this, and I'm one of those ones, just like probably hundreds of you guys out there, that what I do is I watch TV till I get tired, and then I go to bed. Well, for me, I have tendonitis, and I've got this constant ringing. And so what I do is I turn the TV on again, but I don't look at it, but I've got it there for sound. And this is what we were talking about. This is what we're all dealing with at the end of the day.
Right, exactly. So just like a computer needs to fully shut down, your computer health, if you just leave it on all the time, eventually you're going to come into some kind of a problem. If we relate our human bodies to that computer, if we leave it on all the time or, halfway on with something going on in the background, there's going to eventually be some kind of effect.
So suggestions to help me at night then?
White noise, sounds of the ocean, bird sounds. There's an app for that, Dave.
Yeah, I knew you was going to come back to that after that. And I think what we're talking about, we're all the way down to what an individual can do at home.
Mm-hmm.
But back to businesses.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what the size is.
Correct, yeah. So creating a robust wellness employee program. A lot of the larger companies will hire outside help. Some of the smaller companies will come together and get a team together. One of the offerings that we have a lot of companies now, you know what they're asking for, Dave?
Uh-oh.
Yoga.
Oh no.
They are
I knew you was going to bring this into the conversation.
Yeah. Well, a lot of companies that's simply what they're asking for now.
Well, and that's what Pro Practices does. Is yoga, as we talked, is one of your big things. And my wife asked me if I was going to get on a yoga mat. And folks, you won't see the yoga mat. But I understand some of it, I think. But let's let the audience know what is yoga?
Sure. Well, some of the benefits of yoga after one session of yoga, it's proven to reduce fatigue. After 3 to 8 sessions of yoga, heart rate increases. After 30 sessions of yoga, you're affecting, even eliminating anxiety, depression, things like this. Yoga, the traditional roots of yoga, goes back thousands and thousands of years. It was practiced in India, and it was passed down from teacher to student.
Okay.
All right. So America Yoga's taken on a bit of an innovative twist. It's a lot more asana focused, which means much more focused on the physical pose. The traditional roots of yoga was really much more about an individual's path and journey in this life.
So in other words, the mind.
Yes, absolutely. It was definitely a mental exercise.
He was going to get back to the mind control again. Okay. So, this is all, and, I've got COPD. Mm-hmm. Breathing is terribly important. Mm-hmm. And if I'm not breathing right, I get stressed out.
Yes.
And over the last few weeks, I've had a cold and stuff, and I felt that stress. And today, I'm not feeling as much of that. So I've got less stress because I'm breathing.
Nice. So funny you should mention breath because in yoga terminology, it's called pranayama. And there are various pranayama or breath techniques, which is actually much more, I'll say, carries much more weight, or it's much more important in a yoga practice than even what physical shape your body is taking. It always comes back to the breath, because our breath is our linkage between the present moment and what's physically going on here and the inner world that we have and a lot of our self-talk.
Well, I can tell you, and I believe 100% what you're saying, because I know from my experience, from what I'm going through, is that if I can't breathe right, I don't get enough oxygen, I can't really focus on anything ahead, let alone what's going on now.
Correct.
So I understand that. So, I think the thing here is what we're talking about through all of this is that, can I do this by myself, or do I need structure and guidance and support, or what?
Sure. I'll say it's up to each individual if they're interested in beginning any type of yoga practice. There are YouTube videos online. Oftentimes gyms and YMCAs will offer a yoga class. You may find if you really want to deepen your practice, there could be an actual yoga studio close to you, or maybe your employers will begin offering yoga.
Or maybe we find Crow Practice and you've got different programs for how many weeks?
We have 8-week courses in ergonomics and mindfulness, in meditation.
8 weeks of breathing class. Yeah, I can get on with that. Oh, well, we'll see. I think we're talking about this whole thing is affecting my health for reducing stress. And this is what our whole show has been about, folks. It's all about health, positive and proactive, and doing what we can to better that. How did you come to figure out, because when we talked first, Crow practices and yoga, I didn't put the two together.
Sure,
So explain to the audience,
Sure,
how did we get here?
So there's a lot behind the name of Crow Practice, but one nuance to the name. Charles Dickens was the first in Oliver Twist to coin the phrase "as the crow flies," which some of you may be familiar with. It's saying what is the most direct route from point A to point B. A crow is going to fly over buildings, over roads, over all these obstacles. So if point A is a state of distress and point B is a state of relaxation, Crow Practice is going to take you from point A to point B in the shortest amount of time.
Okay, so CROW is an acronym.
Correct. It stands for Coordinated Response on Wellness. We are a team of wellness educators.
Educators talking to educators. I like this. I think about this. Our guest last week was talking about financial wealth and doing things positive to get to there. And they use GPS. And I said, whenever I'm talking here in class, it's what do I want to get? But I need to know where am I today and where am I going?
Exactly.
So you're saying point A, point B, it's the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we start with where we are, trying to get to a better place.
Exactly. We always have to start with where we are, whether we like it or not, but once we can accept whatever that reality is, we can start.
Well, and that's where I said I've learned in my own self to just step back from the situations. Hey, I guarantee you I didn't always do that, folks. I'm getting on in the years, my younger years, and it was just where I was going. I didn't care about anything else.
Right.
I didn't take that step back. Unfortunately, it took me a long time to get there. But I think that's the whole thing, and as we were talking pre-show, is if we all could just do that.
Right.
And that's what Crow Practice does.
Absolutely. I think our best suggestion to anyone in terms of working with stress management would be to cultivate a meditation practice, possibly bring some movement into that with yoga.
Yeah, well, I'm still going to go get on my motorcycle, and I'm going to do my meditation in my helmet and use my physical body and my motorcycle for my physical part.
Absolutely. Whatever's good for that individual. It's not going to be the same. Everyone's path and direct route is going to be different.
Christine, it's great having you on the show, and I definitely know that we went way beyond clean on this show.
Thanks so much, Dave, for having me and going beyond clean.
Yeah, right. Folks, if you want to find out about our academy classes, we now have 5 campuses. You'll find those at academyofcleaning.com. Go on our website. Now, it's not completely finished, but you can get and find our live classes, our online ones, or even information about our upcoming cruise to the Bahamas that we spoke about. Certification cruise in February. I'm not sure, remember the date, I think it's February the 19th. Anyway, look it up on our website. Also, we have the Facebook page, and please like and share the page. That's how we're getting on, social media these days. You kept mentioning that, so hey, got to throw these things in. For those that aren't on Facebook, we have a LinkedIn page. For entrepreneurs, that's where you want to go, is get that LinkedIn information. I try to keep all of it updated, all of our upcoming classes and what we're doing. Now, if you're in the cleaning industry, which most of you watching probably are, We make our yearly trip to ISSA this September. It's the 11th through the 14th in Vegas. However, this year, if you've seen me before at the show, I'm not going to be running around. I'm going to be locked down at my own booth. Academy of Cleaning Excellence will be there at booth number 408. Come on by and see me. If you're interested in the cruise, we've got a show special. Come and see me. Now, next Friday, my regular guest speaker, Daryl Hicks, will be here with us. And he's going to be talking about the unmentionables in the restroom and best practices to address facility and patron issues when it comes to restroom hygiene. I know that's a lot, and you're probably not going to guess what he's going to talk about. I'm not going to tell you. So come back on here next Friday afternoon at 1 p.m. live right here from Orlando. I'm Dave Thompson. Keep changing your future. Keep those changes healthy, positive, and proactive. And remember, I am a janitor, and I save lives.